So there are fears of an impending recession. This has been talked about for a long time and, quite frankly, way overdue. There are concerns with the stock market closing lower today. Usually, what happens in a presidential cycle is you have establishment candidates, and the person in power, they'll pull some strings. Gas prices go lower. Oftentimes, the Fed lowers the interest rates during an election cycle, during an election year. It's even more the case this time because obviously this is Trump versus Kamala Harris, which is essentially the, I guess you could say, incumbent establishment candidate. So I would fully expect the establishment to do things like lower interest rates or to lower the gas prices. The thing is that geopolitically, everything is in such a mess where, Russia, one of the biggest oil producers in the world, obviously is not going to cooperate with the Biden administration. They shot themselves in their own foot by not allowing drilling within the United States, not allowing the fracking, not allowing the Keystone Pipeline to be built. So gas prices have become higher. In 2019, the United States was a net oil exporter. Not right now. Since the Biden administration took over, the United States began importing oil again. With the chaos in Venezuela, Venezuelan crude, by the way, is not of high quality. It has to be processed quite a bit. It's very, what they call very sour and very heavy. It's like heavy and sour crude. In other words, it's got a lot of sulfur content, and it's not, it's very gummy, and its viscosity. So it's not high quality. It actually has to be processed. The stuff that requires less processing, the stuff that's produced in the United States, the stuff that's produced out in Siberia, a lot of that is not online and available to the West. You also have the Middle East, Iran and Kazakhstan, the Kazakhstan province. Iran is not on the best of terms, usually isn't. And then you got Saudi Arabia, which could make a deal and start pumping out, oil. They could, with OPEC and the Gulf states, they can start pumping out a lot of oil and lower gas prices. As for the Federal Reserve, they don't have the policy room. It's basically stagflation, where you have high inflation and higher unemployment rate. Now, these statistics are all manipulated, and they're not truthful. They're not forthcoming. But the inflation rate is higher than what is reported, and unemployment rate is also higher than reported because there are ways to, when you want a different answer, you ask a different question. So, the way they manipulate or the way they, do the calculate inflation, they do a lot of substitution. They leave out certain factors like housing and healthcare, and then they add in things like clothing and technology, which are always dropping to sort of the deflationary market. And they average that in. They substitute a lot of the prices and as far as the food goes, so it doesn't actually report inflation correctly. And unemployment rate doesn't count people who just give up and don't look for work, and it doesn't consider the fact that a lot of people are really underemployed. So I don't know what's going to happen. I would not at all be surprised if the Federal Reserve did lower interest rates, maybe a couple basis points. And perhaps they can get a deal with OPEC to lower oil prices. They could start pumping out more oil. Of course, the Biden administration is pretty hated around the world, so I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.